All right. So the character maps. So characters, in stories, they are connected, as you know, and as you have noticed, whenever you're watching or reading fiction or creating some. So, but there are different ways of putting them together with each other, and one way of doing it is by thinking about the characters through their functions. So I'll just share my screen then, together with audio. And can you see my Illustrator screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I have a working tablet here. As a left-handed person, the webcams are sometimes a little bit clumsy because all the buttons are on the left side. I guess it's possible to flip them somehow. I haven't had time to see how it's done. Okay, anyway, let's get to the paintbrush and change the workspace. Okay, and I can see, yeah, I have a new, the thing is I have a new work laptop, and I see that my working tablet isn't, there should be the driver working, but it's not. So anyway, I'll go with this anyway. So I have to fix that later. Anyway, I was talking about the characters that they could be mapped through the story functions. So I could say that, okay, I have this character who's the protagonist. And then I have the antagonist. Who's somehow against the protagonist. And this is too slow for me because the webcam's not working. Okay, we have the protagonist and the antagonist, and they might be, and here's why is it giving me the, anyway, they might be, it's giving me the right side click all the time for some reason. Maybe I should go to just Photoshop or make another layer and do this with text instead. Protagonist. And it's giving me all kinds of weird fonts, like something from, okay, let's have this one, Deja Vu. And we have the antagonist. And we have some sort of connection between them. So protagonist is usually the main character. And the connection might be that they are, I don't know, friends. And I don't think the writing is going to work this way. So they might be friends even. So, or enemies, which is probably more common. Or they might be enemies. They might be even lovers. In most romantic comedies, the protagonist and antagonist are in love with each other, which first sounds weird, but then when you think about it, it's very natural that it should be so. Or would be lovers. And then we have, or they could be competitors, maybe for the same job, maybe for the same lover, or so on. So the nature of the relationship is what I'm trying to map here, and that's usually the purpose of these maps. And these might be also changing, and they might even not be the same for each other. I mean, one of the characters might feel really like friendly to the other, but the other one is different. So the protagonist might be in love with the antagonist, but the antagonist might be something else. So they might be hating the protagonist. And these relationships are in a state of change, like at all times. So there are also other characters, of course, in most stories. So let's map them here. Here's an ally. Ally 1. Then we might have the ally number 2. Or let's make this a love interest. And let's have the one ally more, but let's make them a false friend or false ally. So both of these, both the protagonist and the antagonist have these, of course. They usually don't work alone or live alone because we are in general social creatures. So the antagonist and the protagonist might know the same person, but for the other one, the friend is a real friend, and for the other one, the they are like a false friend. So that changes. So, and here the antagonist and the protagonist might have the same love interest, or the love interest of the protagonist could be like the, I don't know, the boss of the antagonist or something else. So it's up to you, of course, to decide who is what to whom. So this is one way of mapping characters. By the way, I'm missing one of these. Yeah, this one. So they all could be connected in different kinds of ways, which would make the story interesting or more interesting. Let's have a new layer. So there are other ways of mapping characters or thinking about characters. So let's take type 2 and go to Freud and Jung. You have probably heard of both of them, these guys. Freud and Jung, they had these theories 100 years ago and a little bit more about the structure of the human psyche, which, well, these theories are mostly obsolete by now, but they are based in some older traditions, like cultural traditions, which none of them actually told others, but well, researchers have noticed that lately. So, okay, what were these theories? Let's see. Or I'm not taking all the theories that they had. There were a lot of them, of course, but for instance, this you probably know or have heard of. There's the ego. Then what we have also is the superego. So ego is basically self, like the person, him or herself. Superego is kind of like, well, the rational part of the person, or that's one theory about it, like our better self, could be also said. And then we have a third thing, like the id, which is our well, our subconscious, or our feelings, our emotional part. And these three are working together, like you've seen these, well, you've seen maybe these comics where a person has a devil and an angel on their shoulders. So superego and id are kind of like the angel and devil. And these three can be then linked together, so that they are not actually three parts of a person, but they can be three characters who know each other and who are linked as a triangle. So do I have any examples of these three? Of course. So maybe you have heard of Star Trek characters. There's Captain Kirk, or let's just call him Kirk for short. Then we've got Spock. And the third partner here is called McCoy. So McCoy is the doctor of the ship. Spock is half alien, and he belongs to a race that is only rational at all times. And these three work together as well, partners. So let's see some images of them. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. There we go. Yeah, they look all almost similar, actually. Which is kind of weird, but maybe not when you think that they are actually almost the same character, but three different parts of the same character. And you will find this also in TV tropes, which you probably know. It's easy to get stuck in TV tropes. So Kirk is a trope in itself. And of course, I want to show the spoilers. He's called the Kirk. And here we also find the archetypal Freudian trio. And there's more stuff about what's the superego and id and the ego are. And there are other kinds of trios, as you can see also from this text, so which are usually dynamic ones. Okay, and also there are duos. So it's often a good idea to put characters in constellations of 2 and 3, even if you have like 4 characters. Then it's good if you put them in constellations of 3. Like these 3 characters might be connected in one way. And these three in some other way, and so on. So there are many possibilities of how to connect three characters. That was kind of my point. Here. There's another constellation. So with three characters, you can find many different kinds of constellations of how they could be connected. And to make this less theoretical, let's look at some examples. Let's go see the Peanuts. You might have heard of this comic strip, which is also, well, there's several animated series and a couple of feature films. Some of them you can find on, I think there's one on Netflix, and there's the newest animated series on Apple TV, I think, which I personally don't like, not at Apple TV, but the new Peanut series, because it's so it's too sugary. And then, of course, there's the original comic strips, which can all be read here on Go Comics. So if you want to read Peanuts from the beginning, then yeah, you can get them from here. Okay, let's see. Ups and downs of having siblings. Peanuts love. Yeah, why not? Because love is one of the reoccurring themes in Peanuts, because no one is okay, wait, I think I'll go to the daily strip, and then let's go to, okay, because I did mark one strip out that I show you. Let's see if I can find it. It's from 1970. Okay. Way back to 1970. So this comic strip ran for like, how long was it? 40 years or maybe more. And it changed. And also the characters, they got a little bit older, maybe 1 year per decade. And they, interestingly, it became more interesting in the 1970s than it had been in the 1960s. And the strip also reflected its creator's own life in many ways. Okay, and let's go to December 1970. And December 27th, which is a Sunday strip. These are a little bit longer, so, okay, let's see. You have probably heard of Snoopy, who is the dog of Charlie Brown, who's this guy with the round head. And Snoopy actually never quite remembers Charlie Brown's name. He always says the kid with a round head. And okay, here we can see that it's a New Year's Eve, and Snoopy sees somebody who he might like to kiss. So he's a little bit infatuated, and he looks in the mirror that he looks nice and goes over, and there's a girl, Lucy, under the mistletoe. So that means that she wants to be kissed. And there's Snoopy coming to kiss her. And Lucy kicks him. And this is what she does quite often. She kicks Snoopy. So saying, "Get away from here, you stupid beagle. I'm waiting for someone more important." So, and Snoopy, well, he doesn't take it very well, as you can see, and he boots Lucy back, which makes them fight. And here comes Schroeder, who is Lucy's great love. And Schroeder says, "Fighting beneath the mistletoe, how unfeminine, how unromantic, how gauche." And he walks past her. And Snoopy says, or actually thinks, "We wouldn't want to be gauche, would we, sweetie? Happy holidays." And Snoopy gets his kiss. So, okay, what's the relationship between Snoopy and Lucy? What would you say? How would you describe it?
Well, it's a bit antagonistic.
From whose side?
Well, I would call Snoopy the antagonist in this one, actually.
But anyway, Lucy is standing beneath the mistletoe, so she's saying that she wants to be kissed. So, but then he, so he might be also the protagonist of the series, because we start with Snoopy. So what he wants is to kiss Lucy. Lucy doesn't want to kiss him. But do they make up in the end? How do you see it? So they clearly have a fight, yes. But how would you interpret the last frame here? So I think your silence says something, because I can't see the chat now, so you have to speak up if you want to say things. So many of these strips end in, they don't have a definite end, because this is an ongoing series. So all the relationships are in a dynamic at all times. So they kind of make up in the last frame, or Lucy lets herself be kissed by Snoopy, which she detests, by the way, usually. But then because she couldn't get Schroeder, she kind of, well, she lets it be like that for now. So how would you describe Schroeder, this boy? what's his attitude towards Lucy?
Well, okay. So she wants to get a kiss. She makes it very clear that she wants Frodo to do it, and Snoopy offers his affection. He doesn't seem like he's forcing himself on her, but then she physically abuses him away, and he physically abuses her back, and then they have a tumble, and then she gets shut down by the one she loves. So then she kind of just so in the end, it's not that she lets him or anything like that. I don't believe she's letting him. It's more like she's in a state of disbelief, and he just kind of just sneaks one in there. So
yeah, that's a good interpretation, I think.
So that's more or less of what is happening here in my mind's eye, I guess.
Yep. So she's just too stunned about what happened.
Essentially, yeah. That's, I mean, like, it's letting him, I guess, is one way you could word it. It's more like she kind of is, yeah, like she's shocked as to what has happened, and she's just sort of just like numb everywhere else, you know, like, because that's how you feel when your loved one is someone you love is like says something like this to you. You're just like, oh God, and you just shut down basically, and it's like the dog comes and licks you, you're like, fine. So yeah, like it's more like that, because Snoopy is not a person to her. Snoopy is a dog. She kind of makes that clear throughout the series as well. There are little small hints here and there that she acknowledges him as a person from time to time, but most of the time she just treats him like as a, well, I believe like during this time, like, you know, it was very common that people just treated like their animals kind of like half person type mentality, that they're like, you know, more of an object really. So yeah.
So dogs did get kicked.
Yeah, they definitely did. They were thought of more as like, I guess the lack of a better way to explain it is that they were either tools, or they were just stuffed animals come to life. That's how people thought. Yeah, and people just hit their animals back then. It was really normal. Socially now we have drastically changed, but this was very era appropriate for the time.
But also Snoopy doesn't act like a normal dog, that he actually kicks her back. So he becomes a person here.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is what the comical part of
which makes it also funny.
Yeah, that's the funny part of it, yeah.
And of course here with Schroeder, who Lucy is like constantly in love with, that who never reciprocates her feelings. Like it's clear that they will never become an item to the reader, at least. And this despair that Lucy has at the end is the despair of the comic in general. Like the comic is full of these triangles. What you can see here is actually like a triangle, that you have Lucy and Schroeder, and then there's Snoopy. And all of the characters in the Peanuts comics are actually put in these strange triangles. Okay, let's see another example. I'll try going randomly this time. Let's see what we get. Okay, this is some of the older comics, so I don't think I'll take this one. Go back, and I'll take something from 1971. This was kind of the golden age of the Peanuts comics, the 1970s and the late 60s, also part of the 80s. Okay, we have Snoopy alone. Maybe that's not best for showing character triangles. So Snoopy is also a writer. Okay, so here we have, by the way, Sally, Charlie Brown's little sister, who always has problems in school. I kind of think that she has learning problems, but nobody actually notices it in the series. There are a couple of other characters who also have problems at school, but then they are strong in other places. Okay, here we have Charlie Brown and Snoopy together. So let's see what their relationship like. So now I'm not going to read it one frame at a time. Okay, so what is the relationship of the boy and his dog here? There is a tension.
It's very one-sided.
How?
It seems like the boy doesn't really care, or the feelings are not mutual. He's just like ready to trade the dog for a couple of goldfish, even though the dog seems to be so excited around him.
Well, he's excited about food, at least.
Yeah, Aris, I don't think you caught this one a little bit. Look at it again, mate.
Oh,
And Charlie Brown does care about his dog, because he goes into the rain to give him food. But he's, well, we can see that the relationship is not without problems, and that they don't actually understand each other. Okay, let's go a little bit further in time. Okay, here we have Charlie Brown and Lucy's little brother Linus Van Pelt. So this guy is Linus. So he's Charlie Brown's best friend. So I'll give you time to read it. Okay, so Charlie Brown is dreaming of a Valentine's card or from the little red-haired girl that he's in love with. And he wants to open the mailbox to see if there is a Valentine's card from her. And Linus, who's the realist, says that, okay, this is Sunday, Charlie Brown, and there's no mail delivery on Sunday. And then we have the typical image of despair at the end. So what's the relationship between these two friends? How would you call it?
I guess like the dreamer and then the person who's grounded or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the serious reality and then the hopes and dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, although sometimes Linus is the dreamer, and sometimes so there are times when the roles are reversed. Because Linus has his weirdnesses, and then Charlie Brown has to be the realist around. But here, at least, Linus is the one who listens to Charlie Brown, and that's kind of important. And Linus, well, is, by the way, also the, like I said, the brother to Lucy. And Lucy, although she's not too, it seems that she's not too fond of Charlie Brown, but she does care about him too, in her own way. So there's a triangle also between Linus, Lucy, and Charlie Brown. So the siblings are both friends to Charlie Brown.
Is Linus the one who always has the blanket, or
It's Linus. Linus.
Yeah. Where's his blanket here? That's
well,
I think that
he doesn't. When there's winter, he doesn't go with it.
Oh, okay. That's that caught me off guard. I was like, wait, I thought that she was obsessed with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's sometimes obsessed with it, but usually it's indoors. And that's his great weakness. All of them have weaknesses. So, and usually it's something to do with love. Like Lucy is usually quite a strong character, but then her weakness is her like love to Schroeder, which we saw earlier. And then Sally, Charlie Brown's little sister, is in love with Linus, but Linus doesn't care about her at all. And so there are two pairs of siblings here and well, 4 characters who form different kinds of triangles with each other. So let's see, Charlie Brown and Lucy. So there's the Charlie Brown and Lucy football scene, which you probably know about, where Lucy holds up a football to Charlie Brown to kick, and he always thinks that she will hold it, but she actually always draws the football away before he can kick, and this happens. And he always trusts Lucy that this time she won't do it, and every time she does it. So it would seem that Lucy is a bully towards Charlie Brown, but she also always listens to his problems. And in one of the daily strips, when Charlie Brown goes into hospital for a couple of weeks, then Lucy loses her sleep, and she's angry at the world for making Charlie Brown sick. And she just waits by night at the hospital because she's so worried about him. So in a way, she's a very good friend to Charlie Brown, but she also has this way of keeping him grounded, like literally. There are a couple of like satire strips where they all are grown-ups, and then in many of them Charlie Brown and Lucy are husband and wife, actually. But yeah. Okay. So so there are these dynamic triangles in the Peanuts, and I think because the triangles are so dynamic, that's why the series was able to hold like so long, like for 50 years or almost 50 years. And there's all the animated series afterwards. So the early series of Peanuts in the 1950s, it's kind of, well, it's not that much. I mean, the relationships are not so ambiguous and not quite as dynamic as in the 1970s and 80s. Okay, here's. Oh, and of course, Schroeder has his own weaknesses. He likes Beethoven, and because Lucy does not appreciate Beethoven that much, then that's where she can always make fun of him in different ways. Oh, and by the way, we have two sets of siblings here. We have Lucy and Linus, where Lucy is the dominant one, you can see. Then we have the sibling relationship between Charlie Brown and Sally, where Charlie Brown tries to be dominant, but never really manages. Okay, there's Sally Brown. Okay, here's one good example, by the way, of the relationship between Sally and Linus. There's this other girl asking who's the kid with a blanket, and Sally says quite proudly that that's Linus. He's my sweet baboo. And Linus gives her back that I'm not your sweet baboo. Where Sally says he is, but he isn't, but he is. And actually, this girl is someone who Linus falls in love with, which makes Sally quite, well, jealous. So again, a triangle, this time a love triangle, but there are also the sibling triangles like here. So now Sally comes from school. Charlie Brown is interested in her and asks, how was school day? Sally says, who cares? And Sally explains that it's my new philosophy. Who cares? From now on, nothing bothers me. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? So their relationship as siblings is quite different from Lucy and Linus. Okay. But I think you are familiar with a series called The Simpsons, right? Or who is not familiar with The Simpsons? So moving on from Peanuts to The Simpsons. So the question is, do we find any, what kind of dynamic relationships do we find in the Simpsons world? Or are there triangles or not?
The only one that I can think of that's a clear triangle is Homer, Bart, and Santa's Little Helper.
Oh, Santa's Little Helper. Okay.
The dog, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I also tried to analyze the relationships a little bit, and it makes into quite a complicated map. And maps have been drawn before out of The Simpsons. So let's see, we have Homer and Marge, who are spouses to each other and also, of course, lovers. So they do have a sex relationship. And then we have the children, and Homer and Marge are the parents to them. But then in their family, the role of mother and father are quite different. So Marge has the role of the mother, and but also it's different to each of the siblings. Like Marge is a different mother to her daughters than to her son. Have you noticed that? And of course, the relationship of Homer to Lisa, his older daughter, and his relationship to Bart are quite different. So he's a different kind of father to Bart than to Lisa.
Yeah. Again, I think people forget how old the show is. The show's technically older than I am, and
when were you born?
1989.
Okay, yeah, it came. No, it's not older. The Simpsons came, I think, in 1991 or no.
Okay.
Or maybe 1990.
So it's solid 30 years old. Okay.
Yeah, it is. So it reflects the 1990s.
Yeah, basically when I mean, I think most people here know that, it was so that, when you have a boy, it's kind of like the father's responsibility to handle him, and the mom's responsibility it's to handle the girls. It was still, even back then, slightly old-fashioned. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why Marge, when it comes to her son, you see it's the hilarious. I mean, everything's exaggerated in the show to the extreme level, because you even see Homer, what does he want to do with the son? He wants to strangle him. That's like the joke throughout the entire show at the beginning. I don't think they show him strangling Bart very much in new seasons, but in the past, that was their go-to. Homer would just strangle Bart.
Yep.
That was it.
Yes. So there was physical violence in the show, more at the beginning, but you have to remember that from the start it was meant as a satire. So it wasn't just like it is now. So they were not the happy family, just like the Peanuts characters were not happy children, but they were more realistic children in that way. So what I've noticed, by the way, from the relationship between Lisa and her father, is that often Lisa is mothering him, because she's somehow more mature. So she becomes somebody who takes care of Homer when Marge is away for some reason. And well, there are many episodes where Marge is away doing something else.
There's also a lot of episodes where Homer does his best to do something good for Lisa, but fails.
And all of them, some try to do things differently, but then at the end they fail. So there are these. Well, when I actually started analyzing them from the triangle view, I noticed that the family doesn't form that many triangles within itself also, but there are triangles as stories, because in each episode there is the situation itself that acts as the third thing that comes between maybe Marge and Homer, or the third thing that comes between, I don't know, Bart and his best friend Milhouse. So, and then the places, they are also, okay, somebody's calling me. Let's have a short break here. That's like 15 minutes.